So you're making me think, like, if I'm listening and I'm a principal and I'm getting ready to kick off the school year, this, will probably roll out close in the fall. Like, what would be one small thing that we could do to kind of start moving the needle? Or if you had a resource like I don't want to call it a YAG, a year at a glance, but you know what I mean? Like a timeline of, okay, if you have nowhere to start, this is where you could start first.
Yeah, I would say that setting measurable targets by the district leadership that ties into budget accountability is really, really a strong first step because you can't really track what you don't measure, right? You can't manage what you don't track. And so having measurable targets set up by the district leadership and tie it to budget accountability for, different school campuses. You can even have a uh, campus to campus competition regarding waste reduction as well. That can bring a lot of, good media attention as well, and really kind of pat the students and the faculty on the back for doing a good job. It could be, just a 6 week competition or make it a whole semester or however you want to do it. But if you get competitions going campus by campus, it's really healthy for putting that on the forefront of the students' minds, the leadership's minds as well. But on the back end, what they're experiencing is proper materials management that's a lot more responsible than just putting it in a bin somewhere. So it makes people really think. And then encourage student green teams. So can you build out green teams and put a call out to students? Hey, we're starting a green team. Raise your hand or show up at this meeting if you'd like to find out a little bit more about recycling and energy and water issues. So you can have sustainability teams led by faculty, but you can really start putting the students in a position where they become your eyes and ears. And, and getting back to waste audits, they don't have to be really in depth up to your elbows like we do in the detail where you get down to the gum wrapper. You can do visual waste audits where you're just looking inside the bin to see, okay, this is the recycling bin, but I see trash. I see somebody's dead AirPods, I so they can kind of just, pull the bag aside and kind of look around and see, and they can take photos as well and just do like a photo composition of, okay, this was floor 2. This is in the trash bin next to the bathroom near the history department or whatever. This is a lot of times how college campuses would do it as well. And so they do a lot of visuals, and this happens on a daily or, every couple of days per week basis where we're getting a good snapshot of what that looks like. And, students are tracking it. Okay, well, we saw 50% contamination because we saw about half the bag of recycling had trash in it or some food waste. So we're going to say this is 50%. So we can start getting those measurements on a daily or every couple of days per week, or maybe a weekly basis. But once you do that for about 3 months, you get a good idea of what's going where, and you can start to identify kind of the problem areas too. Is it the trash can near the art department that we really need to look out for, because we know this certain type of item ends up, and it helps you target your training as well. So not only to the teachers in that department, hey, we really need you to look out for X, Y, and Z. This is what we're finding in the trash, and it's not recyclable. You got to put it over here instead. So make sure that your students know that as well. So, it drives communication, it drives training for the faculty and staff as well, and even helps your maintenance crews, your facility maintenance crews, be kind of eyes and ears out there too. Once they're trained and they know what to look out for, then it's really empowering for them to be able to report back to the administrators, hey, we've got a lot of, cardboard that's ending up in the trash and it's recyclable. We've got an excess of it, and why don't we pull our money together with other campuses and have a cardboard drop off where we can compact it and sell it? and split the revenue. So, cardboard is really lucrative on the materials market, and anything that's going to trash is just cash in your trash. Is basically what it is. You're leaving cash on the table, or in the dumpster. And so, building out those green teams, helping, empowering those students to monitor, the cafeteria, classroom bins as well. Even having color coded bins with recycling signage as well. So if your campus already has trash and recycling, usually the color coding is black or gray or tan for trash, and either like a blue color for recycling. If you do have composting, your bin is usually like a green color to represent that food waste. And then also having, the signage that is color coordinated with the bins as well, that shows exactly what can and cannot be in the trash. And you have to have visuals, graphics. You can't just have, text up there. Nobody reads it. But if I'm walking up to a waste bin or recycling bin and I've got a coffee cup in my hand, I know it goes here, not there. I know it goes into the trash bin because it's styrofoam. So we have to be able to empower people with that knowledge so that they can start making confident choices and they change their habits. So I think those are just a couple of ways that schools can start implementing these small changes to help empower people, especially students, and to build out that campus culture.
Well, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, once the students are involved, they really hold you accountable, right? I
Oh yeah.
mean, if anyone who even has kids, they keep us on our
Mhm.
toes with that. So, okay, you've talked about some different ideas. So, how could a school or a leader really introduce the idea to staff, students, and families in an engaging way that's not overwhelming? Like, is there a spot or a space that they could go to that could just help them, get something like this started?
I think it all really starts with shifting leadership mindset.
Hmm.
So whenever an administrator or a leader hears we need to start a recycling program, all they hear is money out the window because they think new program, more expenses, and
Hmm.
that's not necessarily the case. What we do need to look at is if we're diverting 50% of our waste, because 50% of our waste is recyclable, if we're putting it over here into this blue bin or this blue dumpster out back,
Hmm.
then we wouldn't need the full services over here in the trash. So we look at the service agreement with the hauler and we say, well, where can we change the contract? Do we really need 18 dumpsters that are all 10 cubic yard capacity and they get picked up 5 times a week? Well, no, not anymore, because you can reduce that by half. And that's immediate cost savings right there, which can then be funneled over into supporting the recycling programs. And then that can even spill over into new composting programs as well, because about 40% of the US waste stream is food waste. And so think of everything that's coming out of the cafeteria, over purchasing, food that rots because it didn't get used in time to serve the students and faculty and staff. So there's really a lot that can be said about implementing food waste reduction practices as well. Not only that, food all food permitted businesses in the US are legally protected under the 1996 Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act. And so if you have a food permit and you work with nonprofits to donate excess foods that are still consumable for humans, then you get an IRS tax write off as well. You get a tax credit
Wow.
for that donated food of up to 15% of the fair market value.
You're making me wonder, and you may not be able to answer this question, but this is just something that popped into my head from when I was principal. Is because in public schools, there's an alignment with the funding source. And I always heard, and I don't know if this is true or this was a myth, you may know where I'm going, but that they couldn't give away the food in a public school cafeteria because it was funded through, you know, a federal agency. Have you heard that before?
I have not. The U.S. law is clear. It's for usually for businesses, for business entities, that have that designation. So if you've got that food permit, then you should be able to donate that food. But even just working with a local food bank, that their handlers are trained on food safety and being able to keep it to proper time and temperature standards through the state's health code. So that those are some things to think about. And you know being able to identify no cost or low cost actions, like right, renegotiating those waste contracts where you can sit down with your hauler or your representative and say, we want to shift to um, more waste diversion, where our focus is on waste diversion. Maybe just pilot that small project like a zero waste week, to build momentum, where students can take a pledge. I pledge to cut my plastic this week, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to make sure that happens when I'm at school. Or I'm going to help my fellow student to be more responsible and spread the education. So you know also reframing the custodians as sustainability champions. They are your key partners. They're not just maintenance staff. And so empowering them as well to be able to, a lot of times whenever you're workers on the inside at an office or administration, when they do their part to keep things separate, recycling over here, trash over here, there's no cross contamination, no mixing whatsoever. A lot of times that gets mucked up, unfortunately, because the janitorial staff is not educated on keeping those things separate. So they go all back into one bin and they go into the trash dumpster. Or, they don't know the difference between what's recyclable, what's trash, what's even compostable if you've got a composting stream that's separated out. But, making sure that the custodial staff are not only well trained, but they're your eyes and ears on the programming. They're helping students. That doesn't go there. It goes over here, right? So let's keep things separate. And then once everything goes out to the back dumpsters for haul or pickup, making sure that those streams stay separate and they go in the correct bins or the correct dumpsters, so that there's no cross contamination. You're not losing recyclables because somebody made a poor decision at the very, very final step.
Right. You really brought something to my attention in thinking through the maintenance and custodial staff. Like, I wouldn't have thought of that part. That would have been an assumption I've made that they just automatically knew. So it sounds like really a wraparound piece of educating all stakeholders
Hmm.
in what you're doing and getting started on. I have absolutely loved learning about this. You have given so many nuggets of information for leaders on how they could get started and how the sustainability can be supportive, especially in these lean budget times. I'm just thinking within the public school realm, this is one way that they could move the needle in their budget, but also making a lasting impact, right, on the environment.
Yeah, if you're not framing sustainability and waste reduction as an operational efficiency for fiscal responsibility, then you're probably not going to get anywhere with most of the parents or most of the superintendent, school board, or whatnot. You need to be able to frame it in a way that is cost savings. It's protecting the environment. Yes, that is part of it, but it's also teaching kids to be responsible, and it's setting our school up to be green champions. And that is a green marketing tool as well, that you can build around your curriculum standards. So, environmental literacy, STEM projects, civic responsibility. This is something that kids want to return to. And they want to build that into their own resume, I guess you can say, as they go through the school system. So you just got to lay that foundation for culture change and recruit those strong student leaders that can influence as well, and build up your team of faculty and staff who are willing to support them, educating the janitorial crew and giving them the power to make key decisions on waste issues, and then think beyond recycling. Think broader, as far as teamwork and civic engagement, building leadership for students, and positioning your campus as a role model in the district, to help students solve those real world problems that they are facing down with a cloud of doom over them, like climate change and resource scarcity. So this gives them that empowering notion that they are part of the solution.
Wow. Stacy, I have learned so much in this short time that we have been together. You are inspiring in the work that you're doing. I am so
Thank you.
grateful that you had that lightning bolt jolt to reach out and just kind of go out on your own to be able to bring communities together within this realm. And so, if you had one last piece of advice on where people could find things, or you're like, this is the one thing that you could do to start, what would be that last little tidbit of advice or encouragement that you would give a leader that's listening right now?
Yeah, so you can take a look at our website. It's newly revamped, zerowaste.org. So that's the number zero, the
Mm-hmm.
digit, waste.org. And, we've got uh, what really got me into realizing how we are stuck currently in a linear economy where we take raw resources, we make them into a product, they magically appear on our store shelves, we buy them, we take them home, they break, we dump them. That's very linear. And the next boon in our economy globally and trade wise is a circular economy where we take the two ends of the linear economy and loop them so that these materials keep getting remanufactured into new products, and that we are putting people to work as well. So I think the first thing that really gave me that light bulb moment was reading a book called Cradle to Cradle. And we usually say cradle to grave, right? That's linear. But cradle to cradle is rebirth. So we're remanufacturing, refabricating, reselling, upselling, downcycling, recycling. We're letting things rot, like food waste and yard waste, where they're supposed to, not in a landfill, but to make new soils as well. So there's a lot of those those REs, that can be utilized, in the zero waste hierarchy of reduce, reuse, recycle. Those are three: reduce, reuse, recycle. There's more like nine that we can utilize within the entire system. So, we work with large companies, small companies, and institutions like college campuses. So we could really uh, help campuses at the local level with this as well. Zero waste is a scalable operational efficiency, meaning you don't have to have loads of money and tons of waste coming out of your facility to make an impact. We start at a very, very minute level, and we work our way up and find those efficiencies and plug the money leaks wherever we can, so that you're being more responsible with your materials, that you're saving money, and that you're demonstrating that leadership and commitment to your community.
Wow. Well, Stacey, you're inspiring. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you taking the time to be with us here today. And I can't wait for others to be able to hear and learn from you. And thank you for sharing those resources of where to go, because
Yeah,
zero waste, and it's the digit zero, right? The digit zero
that's right.
waste.
Or you can just Google zero waste
Hmm.
strategies, and our website should pop up.
You'll be
But
popping up.
um,
Well, we
and we're on
appreciate
all the
you.
social medias and all of that, all the major social media as well.
Wow. Well, thank you. This has been just an honor to be able to get to know you and visit with you. I feel like we could pick your brain even more at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I can go on for about 3, 4 more hours.
Well, you
So
can
much to talk
tell.
about.
Yeah, well, you can tell that you know your stuff.